The forest was silent that evening, unusually silent. Even the birds, who would normally fill the green canopy with shrill chatter, seemed to have vanished into the shadows. Ethan wiped the sweat from his brow as he stacked the last log against the cabin wall. He'd built this place to escape the noise of the city, a refuge where no one could disturb him. But that night, something disturbed him. It started as a faint rustle, the sound of leaves brushing against one another as though some large animal were moving through the woods. He ignored it at first. Bears were common in the area. But then came the second sound, a low, rhythmic breathing. Too slow, too deliberate, to belong to an animal. He reached for the axe he kept beside the doorway. The cabin's old wooden door creaked open when he pulled it, and there she stood. Her skin shimmered strangely, an unnatural violet hue glistening under the fading sunlight. Wet strands of black hair clung to her face and shoulders, dripping water onto the cabin floor. Her clothing was little more than tattered strips of fabric tied with vines, clinging to her body as though she had just risen from some swamp. Her eyes, those burning, glowing eyes, locked onto Ethan with a hunger that made his blood run cold. Ethan froze. The axe in his hand suddenly felt useless. Who are you?" he stammered, his voice betraying the fear that gnawed at his chest. The woman tilted her head, as if studying him like prey. For a moment she did not speak, and then, in a voice like smoke and thunder, she whispered, "You open the door." Ethan's throat went dry. He had no idea what she meant, but before he could react, she stepped inside, her bare feet left damp, dark prints on the wooden floor. She smelled of earth, of rain-soaked soil and wildness, a scent both intoxicating and terrifying. He backed away, the axe trembling in his grip. "I don't want trouble," he muttered. "You should leave." Her lips curled into something that was not quite a smile. "Leave," she repeated, as though the word was foreign to her. "No, I have crossed too far. There is no leaving." Ethan's heart pounded. Something about her, something beyond her otherworldly appearance, felt wrong, predatory. He forced his gaze toward her arms and legs and noticed scars, deep ones, like claw marks, crisscrossing her skin. And yet she moved with the fluidity of a predator, unharmed and unafraid. "Stay back," Ethan warned. But she didn't. Instead, she walked closer, each step slow and deliberate, her eyes never leaving his. The shadows of the cabin seemed to bend around her, swallowing the light. The closer she came, the heavier the air grew, as if the walls themselves were suffocating. Ethan swung the axe forward, but she caught the handle with one hand. Her grip was cold and unyielding. She pushed, and with terrifying strength, forced the weapon down until it clattered onto the floorboards. "Your strength is nothing here," she said softly. "What do you want?" he demanded, trying to sound braver than he felt. She leaned close, her lips near his ear. A door was opened, and something must pass through. "You called me." "I didn't call anyone," Ethan shouted, shoving her back. But the truth is, a memory stirred in his mind, a memory of the night before. Sitting alone with a bottle of whiskey, he had found an old journal buried under the cabin floor. Its pages were filled with strange symbols, crude sketches of creatures with glowing eyes, and incantations he had drunkenly whispered aloud. A ritual. He had thought it a joke, a relic of superstition. But the woman in front of him was no joke. Her eyes narrowed, and her expression shifted from curiosity to hunger. "You spoke the words," she hissed. "You invited me, and now you are mine." Before he could move, she lunged. Her hands, cold as stone, pressed against his chest. Ethan struggled, but her strength was overwhelming. He gasped for air as shadows coiled around him, tendrils of darkness that seemed to seep from her very skin. They wrapped around his arms, pinning him against the cabin wall. "Please," he choked. I didn't know." Her face hovered inches from his, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. For a moment, Ethan thought she would devour him whole, but instead, she whispered again, softer this time. "Then learn." With that, she released him. Ethan collapsed onto the floor, gasping, the air rushing back into his lungs. When he looked up, she was standing in the doorway once more, the sunlight behind her casting her into a silhouette of shadow and fire. "Tonight," she said, "the hunt begins. You will follow, or you will die." And then she was gone, vanishing into the forest as quickly as she had appeared. Ethan lay trembling, his mind racing. He wanted to believe it had all been a nightmare, some fever dream conjured by loneliness and alcohol. But the damp footprints on the floor remained, proof that she had been real, proof that the door he had opened could not be closed again. Outside, the forest came alive once more, not with birdsong but with howls, deep, primal howls that echoed through the trees, growing louder with every passing second. Ethan knew then she had not come alone, and the night was only beginning.